So, how do we live in this world in a way that we fulfill our duty in the right way that brings us closer to the purpose of life, which is to find God? And so I thought I would use this opportunity of the Sunday service talk to honor Swamiji and to use his life as an example of living, acting, doing, serving, but always with the goal of finding God in everything he did. Now, Swami chose the monastic name, Swami Kriyananda, and Kriya and karma have the same root in Sanskrit. We probably know this. It means karma and kriya mean to act. And so Swami's name means joy through action and joy through deep meditation, the practice of kriya. But I learned this in India in one of our visits there. Kriya also has a subtler meaning in Sanskrit, and that is action that dissolves all other action. So it isn't just acting, but it's that practice of meditation that burns up our karma and frees us and brings us to God. And so, how do we merge being karma yogis and kriya yogis? That's the trick, isn't it? To be let's hyphenate it, a karma kriya yogi or a kriya karma yogi. But that's what we need to do. We need to act, but with that inward centeredness, as we saw in the reading from the Gita, calm, centered, God thoughtful activities. So let's look at Swamiji's life, shall we? And look at how he did this, some examples. We could give a very, very long talk about this, but we'll just pick some highlights. So first, there was the sense of non-attachment to the fruits. Everything he did, everything, and we all know, I mean, the great accomplishments in his life, the books and the music and the communities and the lectures. And he did it all, but without any sense of, I'm doing this, I'm the doer. And it took a while for me to see that because he was such a dynamo of energy. So much flowed through him. But there he didn't trail any tales of attachment. He just kept, and that's why he was able to do so much, because he just kept moving forward. He didn't look backward. What have I done? Oh my gosh, maybe I'm tired. I did all this today. He just kept moving forward in a flow of energy. And let's face it, Swami will outwardly accomplish more than probably all of us put together, but nevertheless, whatever is in front of us, if it's decorating the altar, if it's doing the sound, whatever it may be, just to do it with the sense of, I'm not doing this, God's just flowing through me. And then another beautiful quality of Swami was really transcending likes and dislikes in his karma yoga, in his action. And remember, Master told him, your work in this life is lecturing, writing, and editing. And Swami was a little reluctant, and he said, but sir, I don't want to lecture. It's such a razor's edge of getting into ego and thinking you're important and thinking you know more than other people. And Master just looked at him and said, you better learn to like it. It's what you have to do. And then later he said, living for God is martyrdom. And so from time to time I see, well, I don't want to be doing this service. This service is so much more important. Guys, nothing is more important if it's done in the right spirit. It's all for God. And if we can overcome our likes and dislikes, and I want to do this and I don't want to do that, none of it, that keeps us from finding God. Swami just got out. I mean, we saw so many times when he was in bed with a fever and he had a lecture to give. And there was one time in particular, he said, can you do it for me? And we said, of course. And we were just about to walk out the door. And there's Swami standing in the doorway, all dressed, ready to go. Okay, let's go. We'll do the lecture. And he did. Came home, collapsed in bed with a fever. Many times that happened. but he overcame that ego resistance of, I want to do this and I don't want to do that. It doesn't matter. It's the spirit with which you do it. It's the joy you bring to it. You know, if you're sick in bed and you can't lift a finger, to still be practicing the presence of God, that's action. That's karma yoga. And so really it's so important for us to understand this, because all of us who are part of Ananda, there's much to be done. There's much to be done. This is just the beginning. But the way it will be done is if we can say, what is needed? Where do you need me? So overcoming likes and dislikes, Swami lived it. He lived it, and he taught us, whether you like it or not, if it's on your plate, you do it. And you do it with joy. And that's how great lives are molded. Maybe great things don't happen outwardly, but that's how great lives emerge. And so Swami's devotion was born of, certainly this lifetime that we know, of a desperation to find what was real and true in life. When you read his story, how he just knew this world wasn't real. He was desperate to find a direction in life, meaning, something he could dedicate himself to. But it wasn't until he read Autobiography of a Yogi in those 3 days and then traveled to Los Angeles to meet Master. Then he found it. And first words we know, I want to be your disciple. It was the desperation to find truth, to find meaning. And once he made that connection, the devotion, the dedication, the love, it was with every fiber of his being, and nothing could deter that. Swami said, and we've quoted this before at the end of his life, I no longer know where Swami Kriyananda ends and Yogananda begins. That oneness that comes from beautiful, beautiful self-offering of devotion. But again, it's not a passive thing. It's karma yoga. To see devotion as karma yoga, as something that we act on, that we live on. Not to ever think of the Guru casually, to speak of him casually or indifferently. But devotion is the focus of the heart and the mind. And what it leads to ultimately is that oneness, that self-surrender, self-offering. And so all of the activity versus inner communion, actually there isn't a dichotomy in the end, is there? Because the highest form of activity is communion with God in meditation. And all of the things we do, from sweeping the porch to cutting firewood to stocking shelves in the market, whatever it might be, everything can lead us to that inner communion. What is right action? Krishna says to Arjuna, offer to me your every deed, devoid of egotism and desire, inwardly centered in the soul, ever calm and free from worries. Be dutifully engaged in the battle of life. And so each one of us have a different battle before us, but without egotism and desire, calmly focused, engage in the battle of life before you. And this is how we, following in Swami's footsteps, will find God. Thank you.